Hi friends, it's Callie from Callie's ReDesigns. I am part of the Couture creative team. Today we are going to make over this sofa table using Couture paints and products. So I started off with a beautiful table, love all the fun curves, loving the details, but we do have some damage to the top, and I'm going to update her and give her a pretty new look. So before I add the beautiful details and paint, I always like to give my project a nice scuff sanding. I will either do that with a sanding pad and do it by hand, or I will use a electric sander. I found that the electric sander was going to do the job a lot quicker. I was just using a fine grit paper, and we are now ready for a good cleaning. So I always suggest using a degreaser, deglosser, and my favorite of choice is Green Easy furniture cleaner. I am using a very damp sponge, and I have added some of the cleaner to the sponge, and I'm just going to wipe and allow this degreaser to do its job, making sure that I am covering all of the surface and then allowing it to sit. Now I am using just a paper towel, and I am going to wipe this baby down until there is no more residue left on my paper towel. Okay, let's add some fun texture. I'm going to be using Couture's Embossing Medium. This is one of my favorite products. I use it all the time. Today I wanted to try something different, and I wanted to create a fun texture on the top. And so what I'm doing is I'm just using my little applicator tool. I really like it. It's a silicone tool, and it just allows easy coverage, whether you're using it as a raised stencil or just applying it to your surface. So I just decided to apply it in, just give a one single coat to the top. And I did that, like I said, with this silicone tool. And then I am going to also start smoothing it out with a larger scraper. Now I prefer using a plastic scraper, but I could not find mine, so today I am using one of my painter's metal scraper. So I'm just playing at this point, trying to decide what kind of texture I feel like creating, and I kind of just let things happen. And I was really happy once I decided to apply a little bit more of the medium and then almost smooth it out. And I do mean almost, okay? I did leave some imperfections, and that was intentional. And now I am using bubble wrap. I just want to create some more texture into the surface. So bubble wrap was my tool of choice. You can use so many things to create fun textures. You can use stencils. You can use, oh my goodness, the sky is the limit. You can use even a toy. A kid's little tractor could create some fun texture, allowing the wheels to make a pattern across the top. So try a whole bunch of things and see what you come up with. I did find that this bubble wrap was leaving some really cool patterns, and I liked it. Using Couture's rapid casting resin, along with a redesign with Prima mold, I'm going to add some more pretty details to this sofa table. This is a 2-part resin. I'm a little bit off camera right here, and I apologize, but the containers are fantastic. You just flip the lid and you pour equal amounts into each cup, and then you mix them together completely for about 30 seconds. I use a paint stirrer stick, and once I have a good mix, then I start to pour it into my resin mold, and I just wait for it to set up. After about 10 minutes, your mold is ready to release. I love this Paint Couture product. This casting resin stays pliable, okay? It never hardens completely. So this is absolutely perfect for this curved surface that I'm working on. I'm going to use my Tite Bond glue, applying it to every little spot, and then smoothing it out with my finger, making sure that I have good application. Just turn it over and place it where I want it. I'm going to allow it to harden, dry right in that area, and if you are working on a vertical surface, I would suggest holding it there with painter's tape. Okay, let's add a few more details. Okay, I really like what I did earlier with the bubble wrap and the scraping tool, but I want to create one more layer. Okay, so again, I'm using the Paint Couture's Embossing Medium. I love the texture of this stuff. It's amazing. Okay, it's one of my favorite. I use it all the time. So I'm using a wall stencil. Wall stencils are fantastic when you're working on a larger surface like a tabletop. I'm starting here at the corners, and I am going to just randomly play with this pattern, creating, like I said, a texture over my already created texture. Okay, so my next step is, as I'm allowing the top to harden, I really like what's going on up there, and we will work on that soon. But for now, I'm going to start painting, adding some color. So I'm using vintage Flair, and I'm going to mix that with a little bit of Saltwash. Saltwash is a paint texture additive, and you can mix that with any paint. So we are going to mix it with our mineral paint line. Okay, so I've added some. This is just a whatever that I reuse all the time. It's crusty and musty and all that kind of stuff, but it's clean. Okay, so it's not going to change the beautiful blue color here. All right, so I always add my paint into my canister first, and then I go from there and add the desired amount of Saltwash. Okay, Saltwash is white. It does have little tiny blue flecks in there, but it will not change the color no matter what color paint that you're using. Okay, I'm not going for a whole bunch of texture because my texture is on the top, so I'm just going to add a little bit here and there. Just in places, I just want to give it a little bit of an old world look. Okay, so you just mix that in. Okay, Again, it will not change the color at all. Can you guys hear the cicadas? They are in full force today. All right. I'm gonna add a little bit more. You can add as much texture as you want. It all depends on what you're going for. Okay, and I don't have a whole bunch left. I go through Saltwash like it's my job. I love it so much. It is the best. Okay. All right, so I'm going to continue stirring this, and then we're going to get started. All right, here's a little peek at the top before I do get started with that Saltwash mixture. So you see how I just did the ends a little bit, and I'm going to take that over to the other side. Love Embossing Medium. So here's my texture over texture, and let's get back to our Saltwash. Okay, let's get started. I'm using an older brush, but I can still wash it very easily. But I use this brush for anytime I'm adding texture. And I'm going to do just a nice stippling motion just to create a little added texture to this beautiful table. The color is gorgeous. I'm super happy with this color choice. Love it. Hope you love it too. And I'm just gonna do some random texture here and there, but definitely hitting this Redesign with Prima mold. I feel that adding texture to your mold, over your mold, and I feel that it gives you a much better, it just looks more uniform, looks like it was always there. Just even a little bit better than just the mold itself. Plus, I really love texture. Again, just random here and there, and then I'll come back and bring all of that texture together, okay? I may even choose to do this stippling motion over the entire piece. I'm kind of liking it. Okay. I continued that stippling motion all over the entire base, and I'm going to allow that to completely dry. Here I am lightly sanding the surface of my tabletop so it's completely dry. I actually allowed it to dry overnight, and when it is soft for my hand to run over, then I am ready to start painting. Okay, my color of choice for the top is in our chalk paint line, and this is called Duck Egg. Now, I've just recently done a jewelry box using both of these colors. So Vintage Flair and Duck Egg were a really pretty combination for a jewelry box. I also used some Magnolia transfers by ReDesign with Prima over the top of the jewelry box, and I love the combination. So that might be why I'm using it again. Okay, so I covered the entire top with one coat of the Duck Egg, and now I'm ready to do some fun blending. So I am just using a tray here. I have my duck egg and my vintage Flair on the tray, and I'm just going to randomly start applying both paints. So starting with the duck egg and then lightly overlapping with a blending motion. Both of my brushes are damp, and this is allowing for a much easier blend with easy movement in between the two colors. It's a very soft blend, and I think it just turned out beautiful. So this is just another way to create a textured top. Okay, so that completely dried. Now I just want to create almost a lace-like look. So I am going to use one of our other chalk paints, and called Pacific Pearl. This is a beautiful white with just a nice pearl metallic mixed in there. And I'm just applying it with water, my mister, and just a really light brushing. I'm allowing the water to move the paint. This will work really nicely. It'll allow the paint to sit in the valleys, and I'm going to then also come back with a paper towel and just lightly dab it off, and the effect is really, really pretty. Just a light dabbing motion here and there, getting the excess water off until I'm happy with the effect. I really like the way this turned out. I hope you do too. Okay, we're not done yet. I decided to add our Paint Couture Heavy Metal Metallic Stardust. So this is with a very damp sponge, and what I'm doing is I am just lightly dabbing it on, trying to get it to really show off those really beautiful peaks and valleys. And then I wasn't happy with that, so I started rubbing it into the entire surface. And it's just going to create this really pretty metallic sheen. I was very happy with the outcome. So like I said, I just a very damp sponge. So now let's add some more of this Stardust. It's a really beautiful silvery bronze metallic. It's subtle, but it's amazing. I use it often, and here I think it was just the perfect detail on these raised areas. So this is what we came up with. This is a close-up of both the top and the molding. Really pretty details. I'm super happy with it. Thanks again for watching. I can't wait till our next project.